Minglawa, welcome to MITV special program Perspectives. For this show, we have invited guest of speaker Wu Ejin, who is Councillor of Myanmar Press Council and Chairman of Myanmar E-Commerce Association, so also Vice Chairman of Myanmar Digital Economy Association of UMFCCI. Minglawa Sia, thank you very much for your time and for your kind presence. First of all, this time we are going to discuss about our neighboring country and also one of the giant countries around the world. It is about the People's Republic of China. So, learning from China. So, what should we learn from China?
Wow, you have to realize that, in the 1950s and 60s, China as a country was a lot poorer than Myanmar. Now they are the world's second biggest economy. And, they have brought 1.4 billion population out of poverty line, right? So it's quite a good achievement, right? Even, we as a country or our neighbors, Bangladesh, India, they cannot bring people out of the poverty in their own country. China has done that. And this is the world's biggest country. Just to put it in context, the middle income population in China is even the higher population size, bigger in numbers than the whole of Europe. Yeah, so it's really, it's quite an achievement. So if you want a statistical track record, if you have a GDP in China, it's about only $300 in the 1990s. In the 1990s, during that Tiananmen Square or whatever event that has happened, at that time only like $300 per person, per capita. Now China's GDP per person is more than $12,000 right now. So from $300 to $12,000, within a period of 30 years is quite a good achievement. Is unmatched in any part of the world. Yeah, so that's why it's best to learn from our neighbors, and we are also closely related. Yeah, sometimes a lot of people also by blood also related, right? So and we have the biggest trading partner, China. So it's good to learn from them and how they have achieved so much. Just to close it off, in the 1950s and 60s, a lot of Chinese people migrated from China to Myanmar, right? So at that time, right, people who managed to successfully migrate, escape from China to Myanmar, they thought that they have gone into heaven. They thought at that time Myanmar was like current day Singapore.
So, how do they manage that many population?
Okay, the way that they managed to bring this 1.4 billion people out of poverty is, because the country is so big, the country area is so big, the number of people is so enormous. Yeah, so they manage it by the numbers. Whatever it is, they have a set of numbers. What are the rules and the steps and the strategies and the procedures you need to follow? Very specifically do it by the numbers. That's why I've written down an article in the Global New Line. It's called Managing China by the Numbers. To give you an example, because in order to become a modern socialist society, that's what China wants to be, modern socialist society. China is not a democratic country, but there is no fighting or there is no demonstration in China, right? In Myanmar, it's only Myanmar they're claiming to be democracy. We are fighting everywhere. Yeah, China non-democratic. It's a modern socialist society, but it's very peaceful and very developed country now. For example, they laid down 7 steps on how to become a modern socialist society. The government has laid out 7 steps. For example, high quality development, development dynamic. Development dynamic, they want to develop the domestic economy very strong as well as the international trade. So that's the meaning of double development dynamics. Yeah, plus they have every 5 years they have a plan, and the objective is to achieve common prosperity for everyone. Yeah, that type of thing. So they have developed, for example, like 7 steps to become a modern socialist society.
So that's just like the roadmap.
Yeah, just like the roadmap. Yeah, obviously the roadmap here we have 5 steps or something like that. At the same time, the roadmap is very overall. But China, every single thing is with the numbers. The last one I want to give an example is, Chinese government, they want to prioritize 6. They want to guarantee 6 priorities for the people. That's only right now 6. What is that 6? Jobs, daily living needs, yeah, and then food and energy security, yeah, industrial and supply chain, yeah, market operation of market players, so the market players play fair and square, and plus the last one is smooth functioning of the government. Yeah, so that's why everything is based on numbers. 6 steps to that, 6 strategies, and 7 steps, 7 ways. And that, so it's just now, as you say, it's closer to roadmap. But roadmap is very general. In China, every single thing detailed they write down based on the steps.
Okay, so how about fundamental principles?
Yeah, fundamental principles is coming from this CPC. CPC means Communist Party of China, the leadership. CPC leadership laid down the fundamental principle of what China want to be, what China want to achieve. What they say is, to build socialism with Chinese characteristics. That's a fundamental principle. China want to build socialist country with Chinese characteristics. What does that mean? Which means they want to promote progress, coordinated progress in economics, political, cultural, and eco-environmental fields. So they even explain. So what is the meaning of building socialism with Chinese characteristics? Yeah, to develop these 4 things: economics, political, social, and eco-environmental. Yeah, and plus how to achieve that. How to achieve that, to become a modern socialist society or build socialism with Chinese characteristics. How to achieve that? They even write down also that. They write down the 4-prong comprehensive strategy. What are the 4 strategies? Number 1, they want to achieve the modern prosperity. Yeah, everybody want to get out of the poverty trap. Nobody has to be poor in China. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, and then plus to reform. China has to be changing all the time. Yeah, so that they catch up with the globally and they catch up with market happenings and the governance is catching up. And plus to advance the rule of law. Communism, they also have a very strict rule of law there, law enforcement, and plus to strengthen the CPC governance. The government is the Communist Party of China, because China is a centrally controlled type of government. So they have to be strong, so that the rest from township to village to every very small thing, they will follow this instruction.
So very detailed, yeah?
Yeah.
So what lessons can we learn in the building of a modern society?
Well, in the building that they put down what is the meaning of modern society, they put down in the 5 steps also. The CPC actually wrote down 5 unique features of what does it mean by modern society in Chinese sense. Yeah, the first one is you need to modernize the whole of 1.4 billion people. Nobody left behind. That 1.4 billion people, in fact, it exceeds the population of the whole of the developed world. The world population is about 7 billion plus, 8 billion. Yeah, developed world is about less than population of China. Yeah. Then the next one is the common prosperity for everyone. Everyone has to be reasonably prosperous. Yeah. And the next one is the balanced material and cultural ethical progress. It's not sufficient that China population is just become wealthy in terms of material wealth, but they also have to develop culture and ethical progress. Yeah, that's why if you look at the China internet, it's very peaceful and very polite and very civil, the internet in China. Yeah, so it's contrast to our own Myanmar Facebook. Yeah. The second last one is the harmonious coexistence between nature and the humanity. Because humanity want to develop industrialization, but China doesn't want to go at the expense of nature. So it develop hand in hand with the humanity and the humanity and the nature. The last one is the peaceful development. They don't want any war, any conflicts, or any armed insurrection of that kind. So they want a peaceful development. So this is the 5 unique features of building a modern socialist society. That's what they set it down. And plus, they also set down 4 principles. What are the principles that we need to have, right? The principle, they say, in order to build that, what does people have to do? Number 1 that they put down is hard work and innovation. That's why if you look at the typical, what is the characteristic of Chinese? They work very hard. Yeah, that's why. That is not just they write down, it's not their culture, it's the government itself, the top government itself, CBC, they already write down in there. The principle of becoming modern socialist developed society is, number one, people have to work hard and people have to innovate. Innovate means, try to do new things, try to learn. Yeah, and plus number two is the uphold the basic economic system, the economic system, supply and demand, and it has to follow, the government has a regulator, so they have to follow that. And plus, now the third one, the four principles. Yeah, the third one is doing everything within our capacity. We have to do our best. Yeah, right. So they write down that. Right, so that just now you can contrast between our roadmap and the fact that they write down very detailed. There are four principles. Yeah, the third one, just now I said, do everything within your capacity. Maximize your efforts. That's what they're trying to say. And the last one is pursue the incremental progress. You progress step by step. You don't aim so super high, but you progress incrementally. That's how they achieve the a modern socialist society out of a very poor situation.
So, how do we set the stage right for new development?
Yeah, new development. I mean, China. Obviously the economics and political dynamics and geopolitics is changing, right? We're currently even more obvious with the West group and the East group comprising of China, Russia, and India, and that side, right? So it's changing. So they are also pursuing the new development dynamics, knowing that they cannot rely on the West. Yeah, and the West cannot be, the West cannot really be for their development. Yeah, the West sometimes may be acting against the development of the people that are not in line with them. Right? That's why India Prime Minister Jai Shankar, he always said that. Yeah, he's one of the wolf warriors. Yeah. Okay. So the new development dynamics, China, because of the current global situation, they put up the new development. How to develop the new China? Number one, they say complete domestic demand system. They cannot just rely on the international trade anymore. They got to have the domestic demand very strong so that the economy can withstand global shocks and global conflicts. Yeah, that's the number one. Number two is the greater self-reliance on science and technology. If you look at the past 30 years or so, most of the science and technology new fields is coming out of the West. Now China is also developing loads of them, loads of new innovation and loads of products, a lot of AI activities are coming from China. Yeah, so because of that, they want to rely on themselves for the new technology. And the third one is the supply chain, the industry and supply chain. They want to be fast and as fast as possible, to optimize that, right, so that they can supply to the whole world. And number four is the agriculture and rural areas. They want to modernize. One of the great features of modernizing China is they don't want to be, a few people rich. Yeah, that's probably the West style, democratic and all this thing. Because they can have loads of billionaires and all this thing in the West. It's totally okay. China, the concept is not like that. Everybody must pull up together. Yeah, so they want to modernize the agriculture as well as the rural area, because agriculture is their part of their security. The food security is important, or to feed the whole population. And the next one is improving the quality of life. Yeah, the quality of life have to go up. And last but not least is the security-based development. China development has to be secure. Secure means it has to be. You cannot have conflicts and then you develop. You cannot have civil war and then you develop. No, China is not going to accept that. Every development has to be properly governed, rule of all, rule and order, and very secure development. Yeah, that's what the for the new dynamics, development dynamics that China has said.
So, how do we aim for high quality development?
Yeah, that's what they mentioned in the President Xi Jinping book as well. That the new high quality development, because we cannot just, as I mentioned the other day, the China labor cost has gone up, nearly 3 times out of the Pacific Rim countries, right? So now they cannot just rely on the cheap labor for the development anymore. Now their labor cost has gone up, so they want a high quality, more advanced type of development. So for that also they write it down. They focus on the digital economy. So they write down 7 steps how to develop the digital economy for the China. Number one is breakthrough in core technologies. Yeah, core technology such as AI or some automation or some, they want a new technology breakthrough coming from China. Yeah, not from the West. Next one is new infrastructure. Develop the in the new world digital economy. You need the digital infrastructure as well, right? So you want to develop digital, but you don't have the infrastructure. Then how? How do you do that? And the third one is integrate the digital economy in the real economy. Digital economy must integrate with the real economy also. You can stay online all the time. You can stay offline all the time. So these two must integrate with each other. And the fourth one is, they want to focus on digital industry in key areas. As I mentioned, maybe AI or maybe other areas. Yeah, so they want to develop or animation or that type of area. They want to focus on that. The last three deal with more on the develop how to regulate. Number 5, they want to regulate the development of digital economy. The other talk I mentioned about how Myanmar opened up the digital economy, mainly the Facebook around 2013, without much regulation per se.
Yes.
Yeah, so now the country get into trouble. Yeah, now we are suffering because the governance doesn't follow the development. Development is good, but if you do not regulate the development, yeah, so we going to try. So China development for the digital economy, they will regulate the development of the digital economy. That's one of the how to do it. And then the second last one is strengthen the governance. No, regulation is not enough for them. They strengthen the governance, government control over the digital economy. They want to strengthen. They don't want to loosen. They don't want to leave it to the private sector to manage the digital economy. The government want to have increased control, increased governance over that digital economy as well. And the last one, they say that they will participate internationally in the digital economy as well.
Very detailed strategy for high quality development. So how did China reform and open up further?
Okay, here, the basic underlying principle they say is China openness must benefit the world. And China will open up to benefit the world. They also write down 4 ways how to do it. Yeah, so everything is steps. The first one, they will safeguard the multilateralism. They don't deal with just one, they will deal with everyone. They will they will talk to everyone, deal happily with everyone, they will trade with everyone. That's a multilateralism. And the second one is they share market opportunities with the rest of the world. They will do together, they will do joint ventures, maybe they will do the POS together, that type of thing, market opportunity sharing. And the next one is, they will set up high standards to open up. When you open up, you will set certain standards. So they will try to uphold higher standards. And the last point is they will uphold the common interests of the world, not just their own interests. They will have mutual benefits and mutual advantages. They work towards that. That is how China will open up to the world. And the next one is, when China open up, when we talk about China, they always talk about human rights. Even China, they say they already write down, CPC, Communist Party of China, has already write down 6 principles of human rights. China do have human rights. Yeah, so they write down 6 principles of human. Number 1 is, the first human rights, you need to uphold the leadership of CPC. You cannot go against the government in order to have human rights. Right? Because if you want to have human rights, so you're going against the top CPC of China, you may have a problem. Yeah, so which means you need to follow that direction. Yeah, you need to follow the direction. Yeah. Next one is the respect and ensure the principal status of the people. People, the first important, people will take the priority. People development, bringing the people out of poverty will be the first priority. That one they have to acknowledge. That is a human rights principle, that is inside the human rights. Yeah, don't talk about human rights if you're going against the people. Yeah, against the people development. The third one is the proceed from China reality. You got to be practical. You got to see the reality. If you don't see the reality, the truth, you will never can grow out of the situation. For example, first of all, when we talk about Myanmar and Myanmar development, we have to realize that Myanmar is 2017 become poorest country in Southeast Asia. Right? We have to agree on that. That only then we have to acknowledge that we're left behind. We have to try a lot harder. Right? Then if we don't agree with that, we have a problem. So therefore we have to be realistic, we have to be practical. We got to agree on this fundamental truth. That in China also, in China reality, we are dealing with so many people, so we cannot have so much of the individual human rights per se. Yeah, so that's what they write down in the human rights principle number 3. Number 4 is they want us to focus on basic human rights. Not the right to demonstrate, or not the right to, write whatever you want, not the right to swear and curse on the Facebook. Their basic human rights is what? The right to subsistence and development. Subsistence, the rights to a life. You need to have basic necessities, housing, food, and plus healthcare. These are basic necessities, and security. That's their human rights. And plus the right to develop yourself. You need to be able to improve yourself through hard work and all this thing. Yeah, that is their human rights. That's what their human rights. And the second last one is, protect human rights in accordance with the law. The law is there. The law will protect you. No other, no other extra laws, and no other, the right to do this, the right to demonstrate, and the right to, hold demonstrations and all these things. It doesn't have that. The last principle of human rights is take part in the global governance of the human rights also. In the global human rights talks and affairs and all these, China also want to take part in it. So that is what they've written down on their human rights.
Yes, thank you very much for sharing interesting facts about China. I think we will have to discuss more about China in the next episode. So for this time, thanks for joining and for your insightful discussion.
Thank you.
You have been watching MITV special program Perspectives. Thanks for joining us.